Hey everyone, Matt here. Today we've got a really special treat for you. Myself and Andrew from Glass Half Dead have teamed up for something we think could be really cool. Something in between our usual friendly battle reports and Glass Half Dead's tactical discussions. If you haven't heard of him, go over and check out his channel for a ton of awesome Kill Team content, links and whatnot, all in the description below. And a big thanks to him for collaborating with me on this project. So Nick has joined me for filming and brought his Ash Ravens to face off against the Fanged Shadow. After the lists and in between each round, Glass Half Dead is going to be providing his insights, everything from what he thinks of the lists, the missions, and how each turn goes. We're quite proud to present this to you guys, and we hope you enjoy it, so on to the video. Welcome back to Odds of War. Today we have a battle report of Kill Team here. It's the Genestealer Cults versus the Adeptus Astartes. Adeptus?
That's if they're plural.
Right.
Yeah. Otherwise, yeah.
Adeptus Astartes. Yeah. Just in case they're really adept.
Yeah.
The mission is Objective Ultima. Stay tuned. As Emergence Day continues for the Cult of the Fanged Shadow, they find themselves above ground for the first time in years. Across the battlefield, an elite strike force of the Ash Ravens. Originally on the hunt of heretic Astartes, they now find themselves facing a far more insidious threat. Who will come out on top and grab the Objective Ultima? Find out today on Odds of War. All right, so for our teams today here in this battle report of the Adeptus Astartes versus the Genestealer Cults, we do of course have the Cult of the Fanged Shadow led up as always by our intrepid leader Ural Kraus here, a Neophyte leader with bolt pistol and power pick. So pretty standard there. If you've watched the channel for a long time, you know all about this guy.
Infamous even.
Infamous even, yeah. For specialists, we have a Zealot specialist here. An Acolyte fighter with a heavy rock saw. A combat specialist here, we've got the Anvil. He's wielding a power hammer this time. So it's basically like a thunder hammer.
He always has the rending claw too, right?
Yeah, he's always got the rending claw as well.
So he's got options.
Yeah, so he can go either way there. But last time I ran him, he ran into Drukhari, who had a flat -1 to hit all the time. So, I'm gonna try. Maybe we'll see if we can get it off this time. Is the frenzied hammering, so he gets an extra D3 attacks, but then a -1 to hit for it. So
yeah,
we'll see. And then we have over here a cheeky bit of tech. It's a scout with a flamer.
Okay.
Yeah, so he can reroll advances,
Yeah.
which will play into just a moment when I touch on my my cult creed. Then for non-specialists, we've got a heavy stubber Acolyte gunner here. I wasn't going to include him, but in the last battle report,
he's not to be trifled with.
He taught someone a lesson. We'll say that.
From downtown.
So downtown Charlie Brown over here. So he gets to stay in the list because he did something. Then because I have been able to do a little hobbying and actually expand the kill team a bit, we've got 2 heavy rock drills, which is nice.
Ugh.
We've got the heavy rock cutter, and then we've got just a basic Acolyte here with his Autopistol, rending claw, and cultist knife. So I've never been able to play like a list like this before with all 4 weapons. You could definitely make an argument that like the drill is not the best of the options, but I just think it's the coolest. I just like its special rules the best, so I'm bringing that out.
Can you? I don't know if there's time to do that, but what is the difference between this drill and this is the one that just rips out mortal wounds until it stops, right?
No, that's this one. The drill is so all the heavy rock weapons are strength ×2. The heavy rock cutter here has a -1 to hit when you swing with it. These 3 do not have any negatives to hit. So the cutter is the one where if you're still alive after I've done my attacks, then I roll a die and compare it to your remaining wounds, which in kill team will be 1 because if you're alive, that means you took a flesh wound. And then if I roll higher than your remaining wounds, you're just out of action.
Wow.
The drill is if you've survived it, then I roll a die, and on a 2-up, you take a mortal wound. And then if you survive that, then a 3-up, do a mortal wound, 4-up, mortal wound.
Oof.
And then the heavy rock saw. And then so that's AP -4 there. These two are AP -3. And then the heavy rock saw, this is why it's probably the best, is that it's no negative to hit, strength ×2, AP 4, damage 2. Just like, it's just like consistent.
Yeah.
So that's them. Their cult creed today is going to be the Twisted Helix.
Yes. That's...
So +1 strength, which is nice because then Ural Kraus is strength 4.
Yep.
These two guys are strength 4. This little guy, strength 5 now with that, which so I mean
Wounding
even him,
threes.
he can wound your whole team on 3s.
That's pretty good.
Everyone else here is going to be wounding on 2s. 2s here. This guy 2s with his hammer, 3 if he swings with his rending claw. So not too bad there. And then the whole team gets +2 inches to advance rolls.
Whoa.
So that's where
Add
this
that to the
scout. Yes,
Yeah.
that's where the scout's coming in big. I hope he'll let me re-roll the advance, so I should get at least a 3-up on the advance roll, and then he gets +2. So he's a 6-inch base, and then should be reliably getting about 5 inches or more.
Well, then you'd hope the cult ambush takes off too, right?
Right. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, last game, not a single cult ambush happened, so we'll see. So that's the Cult of the Fanged Shadow for today. Let's move on over to the Ash Ravens making a reappearance.
Yeah, they've returned to once again fight non-heretical things. I guess in the sense Xenos is heretical when you think about it. But what we got here is a new smattering of heroes. We have the leader up in the front. This is Sergeant Vorask. He's a tactical sergeant with a chainsword, a plasma pistol. Moving on, we got our specialists. We have the Scout Sergeant. That is Scout Sergeant Kivar. He has a chainsword and a bolt pistol. And he's going to be the comms specialist.
Okay.
I figure it might be useful since I obviously can't compete in melee right now. I need to be able to pick off a couple guys reliably beforehand. Next, we have old reliable brother Corvin from the previous match. You might remember him. He's a stern guard gunner with a heavy bolter. He might be able to pump out some mortal wounds with a cheeky tactic here and there. And
sure.
Next to him, we have another returning member, Brother Umber. He's a tactical marine gunner with a missile launcher, and I've made him the sniper specialist. Oh, and I apologize. Brother Corvin is a heavy specialist, naturally going with his heavy bolter to make it a little bit easier.
Yeah, that'll be good because it'll keep him mobile there.
Yep.
All right, and then...
Moving on, we now have a couple more scouts. So we're going to start with Neophyte Craven. He's the one on the far left there with the bolt gun. He's just your bog standard scout, cheap, reliable, and puts out strength 4 shots.
He'll hold an objective.
Yep, exactly. Next to him, we have Neophyte Vexer. He's a scout gunner with a heavy bolter. So this is something I was talking about in the last video that we had them on the channel, is having 2 heavy bolters is wonderful. You just can't do it with normal Marines. So having the scouts, you can tag on an extra amount of firepower there. And then lastly, we have Brother Vryn, a returning member as well. He's an intercessor gunner, so he's got the auxiliary grenade launcher model on there with his bolt rifle, and he's hoping for some cheeky crack shots across the map.
Nice, very cool. So
and they're running today as Raven Guard, much because in the last one I got railed pretty hard for picking salamanders. So, we'll see how ineffective it is, given the fact that you have 2 guns.
They all have, thank you very much, they all have auto pistols except for the anvil.
Which are range 12, right?
And they all have blasting charges except for the anvil. Thank you very much.
Which are range 12 or less? Which that will be already within the range of being ineffective?
It'll matter for this guy.
Okay.
So he'll either prove himself to be really dangerous or he'll be appropriately countered here. But this is the thing, right? Genestealer cults are a pretty weak faction in and of themselves anyway.
They die very quickly.
So this will help just a bit balance things out. Obviously, we have a very melee to shooting dichotomy here.
There are some chain swords in there, and the scouts, you know, are essentially a marine just with a slightly less good save, and they allow us to have more models.
Yeah.
So that's more bodies to capture objectives.
And that's the thing is, like, all my special weapons sound really scary, but even just you don't even need a chainsword, and I'm scared of you because toughness 3 and a 5-up save.
Strength 4.
So you know, a single punch that goes through can actually take out my guy just as well as anything else on my team there.
The Anvil might beg to differ. But,
the Anvil might. The Anvil might. We'll see.
He's a cheeky threat.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah. We'll see what he does if we can force you to deal with him. So those are the lists. We're going to go ahead and get set up and be right back.
Hello everyone, Glass Half Dead here, and what an interesting set of armies to talk about. But first, we have to look at the mission, Objective Ultima. This is, hands down, my favourite mission out of all of the book missions and without using secondaries. It allows for multiple styles of play to succeed, and it's honestly just great fun. In my eyes, it's got everything you could ask for from a basic book mission. Due to having to take the centre objective, it's going to favour melee teams, but no one wants to actually stand in the centre, which favours shooting teams and hanging back for a turn, taking the hit to your score knowing you'll be able to come into the centre later. Also, this is a very dense board, and I'm not sure the Marines are ever going to get an unobscured shot off during this game. Great mission, good board, let's think about the teams. I have yet to see a good argument for the drill outside of a commander's game, so choosing to double up on them over the cutter or saw is, I suppose, an interesting choice. Personally, I like to always take 2 flamers because they're just so good for the Genestealer Cults. Twisted Helix is basically the best sub-faction for the Cults, just for the extra 2 inches on the advance. If you wanted to tweak this general theme of a list, swap the drills to saws and the heavy stubber for a flamer. And look, I know it sucks, but the Aberrant is what's holding this list back from being actually, you know, competitive, if you will, as it's just so many points that you've ended up with no spare bodies to sit on the rear objectives. When facing an army with low toughness and armor saves, the standard issue bolter can really come into its own. So I would have swapped the Marine heavy bolter for something else to keep you a bit more mobile, possibly a plasma, possibly a flamer. But the Scout with heavy bolter is fine, that's still a good gun, obviously. If the points have allowed, I would actually take away all the special weapons aside from the missile launcher to get an extra regular bolter in this list. Raven Guard for a sub-faction is, I mean, it's a choice, I guess. If you want to avoid salamanders but remain pretty effective, then with this particular list, I'd have gone Imperial Fists and gone with as many regular bolters as possible. Very effective against the Genestealer Cults, I feel. I always like to have one major melee threat in my Marine lists. I think a Reaver Sergeant would be ideal to sit on the central objective with his lots of attacks. The thing to watch out for in this matchup is the fragility of the Genestealer Cults to the point that even a regular Marine can reliably kill them in melee. However, if they make some good charges with their special weapons, they will be able to tear through the Marine forces as this battle takes place before the Pariah Nexus update, so Death Denied is still 3 CP.
So we are all set up here, guys, in our deployment zones for this game of Objective Ultima. Just to go over the game type really quick, you'll see here this nice overhead shot. We've got 5 objectives on the field, 1 in the center, and then 4 that drift out towards the corners. The 4th one under here. There it is. Drift out to the corners there. The way this mission works is at the end of each battle round, we'll score objectives. You can only score any objectives if you hold the center objective and at least 1 more objective. So we thought this would be a good mission here to test the mettle between these 2 sites. In the scouting phase, the Genestealer Cults picked take forward positions. That's like my classic pick with them.
It is your classic. And you know what? I chose I studied, I learned, and I scouted the area and decided to eliminate those forward sentries.
Yes. Yeah.
So breaking away from my tradition, you know?
Yeah. So I was fully expecting to plant traps here.
Traps,
yeah. You know, but we'll see. Yeah. So in that case, I do have 9 members of my kill team here.
Yes.
So I do get to move 2 because thankfully it's 20% rounded up.
Yep.
So with that in mind, I am going to go ahead and I think I'm going to move these 2 guys.
Okay.
Here.
Sure. Yep.
And then we'll come right back. All right, so we've taken our forward positions. I did a bit of a split move here. I moved my scout over here. He's thankfully up by this wall here, so completely out of line of sight. We were worried about this pocket here, but he did manage to get out there. And then I took a smaller take forward positions here and just moved my Zealot up here, once again hugging this line of sight blocking terrain. So he is completely out of line of sight there. So that's a good bit of stroke of luck there for me to actually be able to get out of the line of sight.
Yeah, it definitely diminishes the value of the eliminate forward sentries option.
Yeah.
It's always a gamble. I think you talked about it in the past. It's very easy to counter.
Yeah,
So-
yeah. Well, that's what I like about take forward positions so much, is that in games like these, movement is king.
Yeah.
And so to be able to get some extra movement there, and even if you do take eliminate forward sentries, which you did, if I'm smart with my movement, I can just basically ignore that.
And it's not totally all for naught, in the sense that I have effectively screened out a lot of this middle field, so there was no push immediately in. Right now, it's not to say cult ambushes can't do that, but it does space out your opponent sometimes, so that can be useful.
Yes.
In the long run.
Yes. Speaking of cult ambush,
Yes.
let's go ahead and start rolling. So everybody,
So you'll do yours, then I do mine, right?
yeah. Well, this is my special rule, you know. So let's see. Does our scout get to move?
Oh,
he does.
you do.
So we'll get him. How about our stubber? No. Our regular acolyte? No. Our heavy rock drill? Yes.
Uh-oh.
That's pretty good. The anvil?
Oh.
Yes.
Oh boy.
Okay. So the luck is
It's
averaging
coming
out from
together.
last time. Rock drill here? No. Our zealot rock saw? No. Our rock cutter? No.
Oh,
And
Yorl,
Yorl Kraus? Yes.
Oh,
Okay. So we'll
pretty good.
move these guys and we'll be right back. All right. So our cult ambush is all done. Yorl Kraus has jumped out here to support our zealot specialist. The anvil, living up to his name, just moving up to try to take this center board. Our heavy rock drill running over here, jumping on this objective. He'll probably move off of it before too long here, but
He's got
good
places
spot
to get
for him,
to.
yeah. And then our scout taking the long bomb route. So I did consider moving him up here into this position and then potentially readying, but I feel like maybe I can actually be more of a menace if I come out along this long way, because obviously I'm going to be obscured no matter what there. So if I come out the long way, I can start to stretch your force, because you can't, I mean, that still is a flamer.
Yes.
And he can come in and just ruin at least one Astartes, even if he just puts everything into him, you know.
A scout can easily be burned up.
Yep.
So
that is the cult ambush all done. So we will be ready now to head right into the initiative phase for round 1. So 2d6 for both of us. That's an 8 for the cults and a 10 for the Astartes. So the Astartes do take it. We'll let them take their moves and we'll be right back. All right, it is the end of the movement phase here for round 1 of this game of Objective Ultima. The Astartes, the Ash Ravens, did in fact have the initiative. So Nick, tell us what you went with here.
yeah, so it wasn't ideal to have initiative here. It would have been nice to move second to see where everybody else was going, but we took our normal scout, our scout that's a comm specialist, and moved them over towards this objective over here. Our heavy bolter gunner decided to stay stationary to ready up, so that way he can maybe benefit from a comms bonus. The missile launcher, these two basically, their objective by readying up was to kind of field out and kind of cover this whole middle area to make sure that if we're not going to get there, no one's going to stay there. The sergeant moved over here, kind of also spreading his plasma pistol range out across this area and also in the middle here. And then our heavy bolter scout and our intercessor both kind of made their way over to get within objective distance of that.
Gotcha. Then for the Cult of the Fanged Shadow here, you'll notice a bunch of advanced tokens here. Obviously, we're pretty quick. We advanced this guy out here. This is just the regular Acolyte, just to get out of line of sight, because these two, so our heavy stubber moved up and our flamer actually pulled back. We did a sort of like a pump fake almost, right?
Yeah.
So we pushed forward with the take forward positions and the cult ambushes.
A little button hook.
And then, so we were threatening, which then
Spread out.
got this thing, and then we pull back. There's a quote somewhere in one of the Kill Team books for the Genestealer Cults
That's actually attributed to Ural Kraus because he's
Really?
he's like, you know, technically he's Pauper Princes according to the fluff, but and basically he's like, you know, we can't like go straight at the enemy and
Must come
like
from
in their
below.
fire. He's like, yeah, we gotta like come like from like hooks and roundabouts and stuff. So we advanced up here, getting out of line of sight.
Yep.
We moved these guys all over here, out of line of sight. Ural Kraus himself moved up this way, out of line of sight. The Anvil rolled a big ol' advance, so he was down here, and so it brought him up here. Now he's even more danger close to the kill team here.
Yeah, I imagine like a 4-hammer strike is coming like to the...
and he just launched up. Yeah, and he's actually also out of line of sight. The entire Genestealer team is out of line of sight except for these two,
and potentially
who
this guy to the
do
bolter
have
here.
they do have line of sight here, but they are outside of 12 from that.
Yes,
so,
yeah, the plasma pistol can't reach that range. Yeah,
right. So, oh, you said this guy might.
Yeah,
have
I don't
line of
know if
sight?
we checked this one or not. If we
Oh,
did, that might be something you intended to block.
Yeah, I
so
mean,
we'll just count it as
yeah.
not,
My entire intent was
to
to
be out of line
have
of
him
sight.
be out of
Yep.
line of sight
Okay.
there, and with an advance from like
Oh,
right over here. I mean, I
he had like a
plenty of room.
12-inch advance or not.
So
12,
yeah, so it's going to be a really fast round one because that's actually it. There's no shooting phase because everything's out of line of sight here. No charges happened, so there's no fight phase. So we go to scoring then, right? And because nobody controls the center objective,
there is nothing.
There's no points. Now, I was thinking about like trying to beef it out here on the center objective, but actually, according to the mission here, if we are tied at the end of the game, then it's whoever controls the center objective at the end will just win.
So you just dogpile at the end.
Yeah, if all of my guys can just kind of float around, and if you never commit in by turn 4, and I just like bulldog rush it, I should, in theory, win that combat. So we'll see. The Astartes will have their work cut out for them.
Yes.
So that's it. We'll go straight into round 2 initiative. The Cults roll a 9.
Oh my God!
And a 12 for the Astartes. Good rolling for Nick. Bad rolling for the Astartes here because they actually want to lose initiative so that I have to move first, and then you can pick your angles. So this was actually pretty in the Cult's favor on that one.
Oh,
so
big time.
We'll go ahead and do movements, and we'll come right back.
I'm really curious to see how pulling the Flamer back works out in the long run. It doesn't immediately look like a great decision. Faking a threat just to pull back is fine, but he's now not threatening at all in the shooting phase. Anvil up top is absolutely brilliant and will almost guarantee him a no Overwatch charge, hopefully next turn, otherwise definitely turn 3. That's a huge threat, but the Marines have time to move out of range and because of the mission objective can move out of range of a charge as long as they keep the central objective in line of sight to shoot any Cults that try to hold it. Deploying the missile launcher in the middle of nowhere was probably a bad choice, and putting him to the left so he can move into the ruins and still see the central objective through the window slats would probably have been a better decision on deployment there. I suppose my big issue is that there is almost half of the Genestealer Cults who are only threats in melee, and at the end of turn 1, they're nowhere near in range to threaten. Ideally, at this point, the Genestealer Cults want to be halfway up the board ready to charge turn 2. Chances are good that the Marines are going to get a full 2 turns without opposition, which might in itself be enough to break the Cults before they actually close the gap at all. Marines, for their part, have hung back and waited, which is a good choice turn 1 because of their extreme shooting. Grab your objectives, use your firepower. Matt's assessment of holding back just to rush the center objective on the final turn is technically true, but I'm assuming the Marines will be able to make a push before then. Perhaps Matt will be able to countercharge. This is a very positional heavy game. At the moment it seems like this game is going to depend on who decides to move into the center objective first, who is that going to give charges to, will they be able to shoot them off, etc, etc. Let's see what actually happens in turn 2.
Alrighty, quick addendum. We're actually partway through the movement phase here for round 2. Had a kind of brain fart moment. My heavy stubber is 36-inch range and could see, we had mentioned that the sergeant here could see these guys, but it was outside of 12. and we were like, oh yeah, so there's no shooting because everything else, but I have a 36-inch range heavy stubber here.
Yep.
So just a little brain fart there. We'll be hitting on 6s, but we're going to roll that up now.
Thanks to the Raven Guard chapter tactic.
Heyo, Raven Guard. Yeah, that's exactly what I thought was going to happen. So it's basically all the same. While we're here, though, let's talk about some things. So the Raven Guard, the Ash Ravens, they won the initiative roll.
Yeah.
So they were going first. I elected to spend a CP with the Anvil, who was up here, to charge the 2 guys that were here.
Yep.
Nick, you elected to fall back and fall back.
And I split my directions.
Yep, to try to mitigate the...
Yeah, that way in case if you could make a longer charge that you weren't going to tag 2.
Right.
And then he could also stay with the remainder of the pocket. So.
Right, and then so you had also spent for...
oh yeah,
for,
I still had to do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's your initiative anyway, so it's so it basically works out the same for you. So I spent a CP for decisive move.
Yeah.
You spent a CP for decisive move in response.
Lost
I won the
roll.
roll off. Yeah. So then the Anvil charged here. So it was only like a 5, and then with your fallbacks it was a 7. I did have to spend a CP to re-roll the charge, but because it was a 7, I went for it. So we landed in combat over here. So now I'm down 2 CP, you're down 1 from where you were.
Yes.
And then the Ash Ravens have taken their movement. So while we're here, why don't you talk us through it?
Yeah, so I had initiative again, which was not ideal for an army that, I want to shoot things, he wants to hide for a little while, so my movements are largely irrelevant for the moment. So what I did is these guys fell back, as we described. I decided to move these 3, so this was the intercessor that used to be over here by this objective. He's moving over to kind of block some movement lines in this direction and also kind of get a better line of sight through here. He actually can now draw a couple beads through the window way this way.
Sure.
The heavy bolter is perched up nicely and very thematically up against this nice sturdy wall. Again, it kind of making a push for the middle. The leader has joined them, combined, kind of provide that plasma support. Our missile launcher is readied up again, just to take full benefit of his ballistic skill. And then our heavy bolter gentleman over here, the scout, has made his way around to try to draw a line of sight through these windows. And so long as things, basically forcing some movement, hopefully.
Yeah.
So.
So there we go. So then we're going to go ahead and take our movements here with the Cult of the Fanged Shadow. Alrighty, it is the end of the movement phase now here for round 2. As we talked about before, we had our decisive move charge over on this end here with the Anvil. We already went over the Ash Ravens. What we did for the Fanged Shadow here, we didn't advance. So basically our Zealot specialist here took the place of the Anvil. Currently, thanks to everything, he's out of line of sight here. Our heavy rock drill here advanced up. Again, same thing, currently out of line of sight. We advanced our scout over this way, and we left our heavy rock cutter here holding this objective. The coup of the century, though, is here with Yorl Kraus. He's kind of tough to see under there.
The Intrepid.
But there he is. He's out of line of sight of everyone except for this model who fell back. So he's safe for this round. But what is big about this is he is holding this objective here. All right. And now that is a major coup because while we readied up with our heavy stubber and we advanced our regular Acolyte here, they're both holding the objective. This is why Yorl Kraus is such a coup, because we landed our charge here. So we're going to get to fight first against this intercessor, and we are holding the objective. So that's really, really big here. So we're going to take a short shooting phase. So it is the shooting phase now here for round 2. It's a pretty light one. We start off with readied models, starting with the player with initiative. So if we had done everything correctly, I had plenty of move to do so. Our missile launcher, once again, should have no line of sight on anybody. So we do go over here to our heavy stubber gentleman. He does have line of sight here.
2 fellers.
Yep. So just a couple shots towards each other. We've got the heavy stubber on 6s.
Whoa. Oh, yes, you have a ready model.
Because I readied.
I'm sorry, I forgot.
Yep, that's all good. All good. So he's fine. He didn't do anything.
Yeah, that's right.
So, and then we drop down to
Raven Guard.
Yeah, Raven Guard. So then now should have our shots
we're
back
within
over
18
here.
of both gentlemen, so there's at least no long range penalty.
Yep, but obscured and moved with a heavy weapon.
Yes.
So now -2 to hit.
I'm going to determine, I think, The smart play is not to split shots.
Hmm.
However, if I do split into these two gentlemen and happen to get extremely lucky with my rolls,
Mm-hmm.
I could wipe out both because they're just 5-up saves, correct?
Yep. T3 5-up saves.
So -1 would bring them to 6, which would be very difficult to pass, and then I could potentially save myself a point of loss here if you do hold everything at the end of all this.
It's true. It's true.
So I think the gamble is worth it.
Okay.
So I'm going to go ahead and devote 2 shots to this gentleman.
2 shots to the heavy stubber.
Yes, and 1 shot to that gentleman.
To the acolyte. Okay.
Correct.
Great.
So which one do you want to start with, Matt?
It's up to you, man. It's your shots.
Let's start with the single shot. That's the
All
more
right, single
interesting
shot
one.
into the acolyte.
Just make sure I got nothing worthwhile here to spend on. That's only for ready models. Yeah. Okay. So let's do it.
Okay.
Hitting on 5s. No.
No.
Okay.
All
So now
right.
the
So that
double.
means that at least currently I'm guaranteed to hold this objective.
Yes.
And
get one.
do get 1 hit.
Okay.
Very nice.
So it's strength 5 to strength
T3.
So
Yep.
3s, right?
Yep. And
It's a
no.
fail. However, so I have a choice here. What is it called? Death Denied went up to 3 CP, which is what I'm currently
and
sitting
you're
at.
3 CP.
If I can punk one of these two, that's pretty huge.
Interesting.
Yeah,
you got some choices here.
Well, I'm going to do like Elsa says and just let it go.
Okay, there we go. So that's him fired. Now, the Cult of the Fanged Shadow doesn't have any other firing models. And then, once again here, these 2 guys should be have no line of sight onto these guys if we've done our movements correctly, which I believe we have, because we had plenty of movement. Now, if they have line of sight on this guy, that's fine because you're ready, but him, he should have plenty of movement to not be out of line of sight.
Yeah, I know I can...
Or to be out of line of sight, excuse me.
I know he couldn't see the backpack gentleman before. And he had not moved, and he had not moved, so that's safe that way. You've moved these 2 out of line of sight.
Yep.
I know he is invisible to everyone but him and him. Is there anyone else back there? I don't think
you have anything else.
Yeah.
I think that's the end of the shooting phase.
I believe so.
Yeah, so with that, we will go into the fight phase now. So we do have 2 combats to resolve. We've got our combat here in the center, and we've got the anvil over here. Now, the only question with that is, because it would be charging models first, is do you want to spend 2 CP for decisive strike?
That is a good question. I know you have 2 CP as well, so you could challenge it.
I do.
I don't think you have anything that saves your models off of 2 CP, so you probably don't have anything better to spend it on than to decisive strike me back. So no, I will let you take the charge.
Okay, well, in that case then, we are going to start off here in the center board with our Acolyte fighter. He's got 2 attacks. He doesn't get anything else on the charge or anything, unfortunately, but they will be hitting on 3s into this intercessor. So let's see. We do get 2 hits. Very nice. We are wounding on 2s because it's strength times 2. And that's 2 wounds. Now the drill, I believe it's 3, I think, because I think it's the cutter and the saw are 4, so I think you do get 6-up saves here.
Okay. Yeah. So you said it's minus 3, so 2 6-up
saves.
Okay. Let's see if fate has been kind. 1 passes,
makes
1 fails.
Fails 1.
Now I could re-roll, but there's really no reason to do that. And this is how much damage you said?
It is a 1 damage, but then if you're still alive, then I start getting to roll the mortal wounds.
And what are the requirements?
It'll be a 2-up, take a mortal wound. It'll be then a 3-up, take a mortal wound, then a 4-up, take a mortal wound, then a 5-up, take a mortal wound. The moment I fail one, though, it's over.
I see. Okay. Yeah, let's let it ride.
Okay.
So you've dealt damage to me.
So he's done
on
1
a
damage.
Model now.
Yep. So 2 up here?
No.
No. Interesting. Okay. Well, with that being the case, I think what I'll do actually now is I want to say it's 1 CP. Yeah, 1 CP Industrial Brutality. On a 4-up, I get to immediately fight again. So I'll go down to 1 CP remaining.
Man, that's awesome.
So 4-up.
No.
No. Okay, that's fine. So that's him fought.
That's excellent, though, for 1 CP.
But then it's a 4-up.
Yeah.
So you could just blow 1 CP for nothing.
That's fair.
So,
yeah.
So with him done then, what we'll do, we'll drop a wound counter
Yes. he is
here.
taking
And then
one
we'll
wound.
go over here to the anvil here. Now,
This
he's
is
got
big news.
3 attacks because he's a combat specialist.
Mhm.
He will be hitting on 4s, though, with his power hammer, which I am going to swing with.
One
So we do
drops.
get 2 hits there. Very nice. Now, we'll be wounding on 2s because it's strength, actually technically 11. So there you go, 2 wounds, AP -3.
They have 4-up armor saves, so it cuts right through
So
them.
no save, and it is 3 damage. So
Yes.
it's just, it's an out of action there
So
with the 4-up.
here's the rub. So I'm thinking this gentleman staying in combat is to my benefit.
Interesting.
Because then, because I know what's going to happen. I'm going to roll again, retain initiative. I'll do my movements. You'll be able to do your free whatever. But if he stays in combat, that's one more turn of not dealing with him, and I can continue to work with everything else.
It certainly could happen.
Um,
Do you want to death denied?
yes.
Okay, 3 CP, and then that's just straight up a flesh
It
wound.
goes
now,
right to a flesh wound, no roll.
So
hence
there you
why I got
go.
bumped up to 3.
Yes. So 0. Oops, sorry for the camera work there, guys. So 0 CP there for the Astartes, and that's it. So then now you get to go ahead and
Crack back.
you can just put it on 1 there instead
Oh,
of 2.
my bad.
And then there you go. You can get your fights back. Yeah.
Yeah, so the scouts, I want to say, should just have the 1.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe the intercessor has 2.
All right.
So this is a normal scout. Yeah, we're rolling on 1 attack. Now they do have transhuman physiology. They
So he
ignore
ignores the
the
first
flesh
flesh
wound.
wound.
Yep. So we're hitting on
Should be
3s.
threes, your
So we'll
Space
go
Marine.
this gentleman here.
Yep.
Hits.
Hits. Yep.
You're T4.
T4 with
Okay.
the anvil.
So it's 4s. Nope.
No.
Okay, that's a miss.
Very nice. Good job, anvil.
2 here and 2 here.
Mm-hmm.
Same deal, ignoring. Or he's not even on a flesh
Yeah,
wound.
didn't even have
It
a
don't
flesh
even
wound.
matter. It's
2 hits. Very nice.
It's cheeky. And then it should be 3s.
3s. Yep.
2
2
wounds.
wounds. We
No
do
AP.
get 5-up saves, which we fail both. Goes to the injury roll.
All right, this is big. Yes.
That's an out of action there, people. Ouch.
And that is huge
Mm-hmm.
for this exact reason.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. So now you can take a 3-inch
I can.
consolidate there if you want. What is, though, extra big about this, it does keep me from scoring any points at all.
Yes.
But also because you don't control an objective, besides that one, you'll score also 0 points.
Oh, that's very sad.
At the end.
Yeah,
So,
you're right. Wow, that would have
yeah.
been a huge turnaround had he stayed over by this brick.
Yes, yes. So with that in mind, actually, that's the end of the fight phase. We will go to the morale phase. The Cult of the Fanged Shadow have lost their first model. So no nerve checks there because we don't have any flesh wounds on the board, and no break checks to be taken. Now, you do have a flesh wound here,
Yes.
but what is a scout's leadership?
I want to say it's 7.
Yeah, because if it's a 7, then you can't fail because
Yeah,
even on a
leadership
6.
7.
Yeah, so you're fine there. So and then no break check required either for the Astartes. With that, we do go into round 3 here.
Yes.
We'll go to the initiative phase.
Points are becoming valuable.
GSC roll a 4. And
Oh, finally!
Astartes roll a 3.
Finally!
I don't know that you wanted to lose that one.
Probably
now
not.
That you're a lot closer. So with that, we'll go ahead and take our moves, and we'll come right back.
A big turn in the game with that out of action roll, obviously, but sadly the Marines forgot about holding the other objectives. Always feels odd to hold an objective but not get any points from it. Awkward. As they said, initiative is a big issue in this game. I go so far as to say that if the Cults had gone first in this round, the Marines would have basically won the game on this turn, as they would be able to force the Cults' hand into taking the centre, which they then could have fallen back from and shot off in subsequent rounds. As it is, he moved forwards and gave the Cults a charge. He had to do it, but he didn't want to do it, you know? Of course, the Cults want the charge not only because that's where they're the most lethal, but also because that's where they're the safest, unable to be shot. There was a nice splitting of his models when the Marines fell back, but the Anvil made it in and got the kill as we would expect. Still, good damage mitigation. Now in the shooting phase, the Scout Heavy Bolter was debating whether to split shots or not, and in this case, splitting was definitely the right choice, so good decision there. In the case of 2 models, both on an objective, both obscured, both at full wounds, and there's no significant difference in how lethal they are to your own team, so you don't actually care which one dies, Split the shots in the hopes of getting lucky. If you don't care who dies, split the shots. A lot of decisions from the Marine as to where he was going to spend his command points. He could have rerolled the bolter or attacked first, but in this instance, holding his CP for Death Denied was definitely the right call, which, had it happened, should have been used on the centre objective, but he got lucky not needing it there. Minor tactical aside, when deciding who you should fight first with and you have CP you're willing to spend, fight the guy you want to die first as you can spend your rerolls there. But if the enemy has CP, fight who you want to die last, hoping they will spend their CP on a model you don't care about living. Unless you're against Marines because Death Denied.
All right, it is the end of the movement phase here for round 3. Cult of the Fanged Shadow had the initiative, and with that we got some interesting movement. First off, we readied up here with our heavy stubber because he did have line of sight over to a guy who was here but is no longer. And then so now, by my accounts, he should be out of line of sight from everybody, which is all right because he's holding the objective. We readied up with our heavy rock cutter just in case he had anyone come into line of sight of him because he's staying back to hold the objective. Our heavy rock drill up here, we tried a cheeky charge. We failed it, so we just elected to stay up here because why take any extra shooting that we could. The anvil over here, because I had initiative and was in combat already, I know that you would have fallen back anyway, so I went ahead and fallen back. I am holding this objective here, which is nice with him, and he is obscured to this guy. Now, other big things that happened, my heavy rock saw Zealot. I charged the Intercessor and this heavy bolter, heavy specialist. You elected to retreat with him.
Correct.
Stayed with this guy, so I charged in and made that charge. I tried to charge here, failed.
By 1.
Yeah, by 1. I advanced up my flamer here to also be on the objective, so the dog pile's happening on round 3 here, which is pretty good. And then I charged in Yorl Kraus into him as well. Did need a CP reroll for that, but we made it in.
Yes, Yorl
so that was, to play. Yeah, that was the Fanged Shadow. So then for the Ash Ravens, tell us what you got.
So the turns are waning. The trap has been sprung, at least in my head. Our gentleman over here who was in combat with the anvil stands proudly as he has survived an attack and has noticeably watched him run away. He's going to ready his bolter up, and he's kind of...
Yeah, well, he elected to stay stationary.
Yes.
Yes, can't
not,
ready because
not ready,
started,
sorry, but he is thematically aiming his bolter down at a gentleman over here.
Right.
Our missile launcher has readied up as well, retaining some line of sight over here, though obscured.
Obscured, which will at least help a bit.
He could also potentially take a shot over here, depending on how things crack out. Our heavy bolter scout made a way out of line of sight of the readied model over in this direction, and has made his way back across to get within 2 inches of this objective in the off chance that we can secure here.
Right.
Additionally, he's also drawn a bead to the anvil.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is pretty important. We can maybe cut off a couple wounds piece by piece.
Right. We'll have to see what happens there.
And then the rest, we had a pretty boss charge, not distance-wise, but just cool-wise, from the scout sergeant who made his way across here, jumped up through 6 shots of flamer goodness.
Yeah.
Made
all the saves.
Made all his saves and landed directly into both Yorl and the flamer.
Yes.
The captain followed suit as the hunting pack drew close and made a charge around. He attempted to get to Yorl.
Right, he's just out, unfortunately.
Yeah, just out, unfortunately, but he is in on the flamer.
Yes.
And I think that is it.
Yeah.
He got charged, so he has stayed.
Right. Yeah. So with that, we are just about ready to go into the shooting phase coming up next. So it is the shooting phase. We do start off with readied models. I do have 2 technically, but both of them are out of line of sight of everyone.
Yep.
So that is it for the Cult of the Fanged Shadow readying.
I have a readied model.
Yes, we do have a readied model over here.
So I'm going to make my choices. We know he's not within range of the objective.
So I'm not, no, he is. He's
within 2.
He's within 2 of the objective, yeah. So I've got 4 guys on the objective total.
That does change up things then.
Yes, that's why I may have failed to charge, but I was still glad to have at least gotten enough to get within 2. So, you got to start devoting something over to him.
So we're still going to use this gentleman to shoot over to the anvil.
Over to the anvil.
I have another plan on hand here that doesn't revolve around that. So he stayed stationary. He's hitting on 3s.
Yep.
He's re-rolling 1s. There is obscurement here.
Yes.
So he'd be hitting on 4s.
Yes.
I believe he is outside of range of the comms. Yes, just so.
Right.
So let's go ahead and take that shot. We're going to shoot a crack missile.
Alrighty.
So the big miss. Hopefully not. Oh,
Show us that
to the
too.
end. Hup. Hits.
Hits.
Strength 8.
Yep.
So
Toughness 4.
2s. Wounds.
Wounds.
I believe it's AP -2. Let me, or does that matter? You
I
don't
have a
any-
5-up save.
Yeah. So
So if it's 1 or 2, we'll make a big difference.
yes. It is -2. D6
-2,
damage.
so no save, D6 damage.
Okay, here we go.
Show us the 1 or 2, please. It's the 2, which then becomes reduced by 1 by the anvil down to 1.
So I'm going to.
Oh, are you going to CP reroll the damage? Can you do that with kill
correct
team?
Correct me if I'm wrong. Oh, that's true. Yeah, we should check that.
Yeah, I don't know
That's
that
in
you
the.
can.
We may not be able to.
It'll be page 64.
64. Excuse us while we flip pages. Tactical
You cannot
reroll.
reroll damage.
No, I cannot. So that, yeah, it's a
So-
single damage.
So a single damage there to the anvil. He's got a wound because he has a 2-wound model.
Yes.
That was
That's
insanely
huge.
lucky for the
That's
cults.
huge.
Very lucky there. So that is him done. And now we drop to non-readied models, which unfortunately I think I'm all done as well because we charged here and charged here. So even though they have guns, they don't have anything. And then all these guys are fresh in combat this round, so no firing from them. So we do just go right back over to the Ash Ravens.
Yep, and I have 2 gentlemen who can shoot. So we're going to start with the bolter here.
Okay.
He's outside of his half range.
Yep.
Yep.
And definitely obscured because of all this mess.
Definitely obscured. So we're hitting on 5s.
Single shot
shot.
on a 5.
No.
No.
Okay.
All right, and then back over to this guy.
So the heavy bolter here can see this gentleman through the window.
Yes.
And I have a decision to make. Now, it can't reduce below 1, correct? So 1 is like, yeah. So I could take all 3 shots, pop them into this guy, potentially eke out a kill. However, if I don't kill at least 2 models here and retain all of my guys, which is also unlikely, I will lose this center objective.
Yeah, you got some choices.
So I think he's going to shoot through to here.
All 3 shots.
All 3 shots.
And so then that's moving with a heavy weapon and again obscurement here. So
yes.
3 shots hitting on 5s into this gentleman.
However,
Ooh.
and this might be the misplay. Oh, it's not a misplay because I can't use that ability. So never mind. Yeah, 3 shots going to be cracking into this gentleman. Because I think it's 5s regardless, right?
Yeah, because he should be obscured thanks to this rock. And then you're moving,
moved,
you're
yeah.
moving
Yeah, it's
and
5s
obscured
regardless, so-
no matter how.
We're going to go into this guy.
Okay.
So 3 shots hitting on 5s.
That
We
is
got
1
1.
hit. That's all you need.
And we need 3s here.
Yep.
Wounds.
Gets the wound.
AP -1.
No, fails the save.
All right, this is big.
That is only a flesh wound. Now you
Now,
can CP reroll
I can
that.
CP reroll this, yes, which I am going to do.
Okay, so we know he's at least on a flesh wound. He might be out of action. That is out of action there, but that is a CP
It is.
gone.
We're down to 1.
Yes.
Worthwhile, though, now that we can kind of control this a little bit more, hopefully.
Okay.
This turn could be big.
Now that's it for the shooting phase. We're all done there. So we
Yes.
do go into the fight phase. We are here. Now you don't have 2 CP to
Nope,
interrupt, so
I
that's
cannot.
nice. So basically what it means is that I get to fight first. Ural Kraus and my guy here have charged. Now what I'm torn between is the less flashy but probably tactically appropriate. I fight with Ural Kraus and use lead by example to let someone else fight again, or to let someone else fight before you get to activate, because
Yes.
you also have 2
I
charges
do,
here.
yeah. So you could
And
steal priority.
and then I could spend a CP on like the industrial brutality here again in case he whiffs.
Right.
I'm torn between that and fighting with him and potentially taking you out of action here, and then spending 2 CP for Messy Demise.
Ooh, what is that? do?
And with Messy Demise, it's only for a rock saw, and when you take a model out of action with a rock saw,
Does he explode?
you roll for every enemy model within 3 inches. So that would be these two guys. And on a 5-up for each model, they're shaken.
Oh.
So
shaken, meaning they wouldn't be able to
meaning
fight.
they wouldn't be able to fight at all. The only thing you can do with them is roll saves, and then they don't count for holding the objective. So that could be really, really big if it goes off, but it's 2 CP for 2 5-ups. It's not, I mean, I think it's tactically the wrong decision, because I think the right decision is fighting with Yoel Kraus into this guy, hoping to take him out, or even flesh wound him, and then fighting with him before he even gets to fight. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to spend a CP, because I think that's the right call, for lead by example. So we'll use Yoel Kraus and him, and you can fight in any order before anyone else. So I'll actually start off with the rock saw. So he didn't charge this phase. Oh wait, no, yes, of course he did. What am I talking about?
Yeah. So so these two charged. He did not.
Yeah,
charge.
he did not charge. Which I mean, he's dead. Let's be honest. So I'm going to start off with the heavy rock saw into the intercessor. So it's going to be 3 attacks hitting on 3s. We do get 3 hits. There we go. We are strength 9 with Twisted Helix, so 2s to wound here. And that's AP -4 on the rock saw, so there's no save.
There's no save.
And so it's just 2 damage. So do we take...
So I do have a thing, and I need to figure out the strategic opportunities here.
Okay, what's your thing?
So my thing is called Battle Brothers.
Okay.
I'll put that there for you to read.
Well, why don't you read it out for us?
Sure. I can use this tactic after failing a saving throw for a model that is within 3 inches of another friendly model that is not shaken. No damage is inflicted upon the target model, but one friendly model of your choice within 3 of the target model and not shaken suffers a number of mortal wounds equal to the damage characteristic of the weapon used in the attack. So it's essentially like a grot shield.
Okay.
Over.
Right. So I had 3 go through.
Correct.
So I had 3 go through. So it would eat 1 of them.
No. So the actual ruling of it.
Well, because this is fast rolling the dice, but technically I do these 1 at a time. So 1 has gone through.
From my understanding of this, when I read the errata, it just erases the rest of the attacks, because it would have gone through.
Yeah.
Onto...
No. So go ahead. I mean, pull up the errata while we talk about this, but I'll show this for a second. So use this tactic after failing a saving throw. So what has happened now? These 2 we already know have passed because of fast dice rolling, but this happens 1 at a time. So I've rolled 1 hit, rolled 1 wound, and now it's a -4, so you auto fail the save. Okay, so use this tactic after failing a saving throw.
I apologize. So what the deal is that it could turn a multi-damage attack into a single damage.
Yes.
Yeah, that was the misinterpretation. Right. So yeah, this is not worth spending here.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
All right. So injury roll.
Yep.
And that will be out of action. So he is gone. Now I do just want to say. So obviously I spent the lead by example, so it can't happen. But I do just want to see if I had done Messy Demise instead for your scout. He would not have been shaken, and for your leader would not have been shaken. See, so that's exactly why you don't do that. So now that he's done that, what I think I'll do is maybe I'll take a 3-inch consolidate here to just touch your sergeant, because then you'll start in combat unless you clear 2 of them. So then we'll go to Yoel Kraus. He'll of course pile into the only guy he can, which is your scout sergeant there. He has got 2 attacks as a neophyte. So then these are hitting on 4s because he's a neophyte. We've rolled a double 1. Now I do have a CP left. So I haven't re-rolled. Could re-roll 1.
What does he hit on, 4s?
He hits on 4s, so it's a CP for a 4-up. But I think I'm just going to leave it.
Okay.
I think I'm going to leave it. And so that's it for my charging models, actually. So we do go over to your charging models. So you get your 2 guys here next up.
So both of these gentlemen have 2 attacks for being sergeants, and then they have a chain sword, so they go to 3. So it's potentially irrelevant which direction we go, because I don't think if I choose one, then it goes to my next guy afterwards. Correct?
Yeah, it goes to your guys anyway. I do just want to check another CP, because I think I have
the fight again.
It's not, well, he wouldn't be able to fight either of these guys
he didn't
because
charge.
he didn't charge. But what I am looking for actually is there's a stratagem which I think gives you a -1 to hit one of my guys, and so I'm just looking to see if I can find that. Yes. Okay. So it's blinding acid spit.
Ooh.
Use this tactic when a model from your kill team is chosen as the target of an attack in the fight phase. Roll a dice on a 4-up, subtract 1 from hit rolls made for the attacking model until the end of the phase, which is not bad.
That's quite good. Yeah.
So yeah, so I'll see who you pick.
Yeah. So let me
and I'll go from there.
Let me have a little think real quick, and I'll. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with this gentleman.
Okay. Starting with the scout.
Yes, and I'm going to go ahead and do 2 attacks here.
Okay.
And 1 attack here.
Okay. Well, I will go ahead and I'll spend my CP then, going down 2-0 to do blinding acid spit from Yoral Kraus. So a 4-up here, which would be really nice if I could get. No. That's what's. See, this is the problem. This is the problem with Genestealer Cults. Their tactics are really cool, but all the cool ones require extra die rolls that inevitably fail.
Orcs have a lot like that too, right?
They don't require die rolls. That's what's nice about the orc ones. They just get to do their things, and that's how most tactics are. But Genestealer Cults.
Yeah, it doesn't make much sense. Let's start with the important attacks. That's 2 into Yoral.
2 into Yoral.
So we're hitting on 3s. Get 2 hits.
Wouldn't have mattered anyway if I had rolled a 4.
He's T3.
T3. Yep.
T3.
Everyone's T3 except the Anvil.
So this is 3.
Easy, real easy to remember.
So we get
only 1,
and we fail 1. I do have a CP remaining, but I'm gonna save it for something else. So.
Okay. Yep. 5 up.
No.
That's a shame. Injury roll.
Okay.
Just a flesh wound.
Flesh wound. Now. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. And then now 1 attack here.
1 attack into the flamer.
So
3. Into my scout.
Hits. 3.
Wounds. 5 up.
Yes.
Hey.
Very nice. All right. So now we're going to select our sergeant. He's a boss, so he's going to spend 1 CP here.
Okay.
And so use this. It's called Angel of Death. Use this tactic after a model that is charged in the battle round, or after choosing a model that is charged in the battle round to fight with. So I'm choosing him.
Yep.
Add 1 to his attack characteristic.
Okay, great. Now the only person he can attack is the flamer, because he is a charging model this round. He didn't connect with Yoral Kraus, so he can't fight Yoral Kraus. And then because he's a charging model this round, he can only fight ones that he charged or was charged by, and so he can only fight the flamer.
With that being the case, would you allow a rewind to the out of action roll, or the? If not, that's fine, and we'll just continue the attacks. But because I have not rolled anything else since.
Because I want to show good sportsmanship, yeah, you can. That's fine. You want to re-roll the wound roll on Yoral Kraus?
Yes, please.
Sure. So that's your CP there.
Or not a wound roll. It's the
injury roll.
Injury roll. Yep. Yeah. So here we go. So that would be an out of
there you
action. Go. All right. The captain has 3 attacks. He cannot attack this guy.
He cannot attack him.
Yeah, but he can attack here.
Yep.
So here we go. 2
hits. Very nice.
2 wounds.
2 wounds. 5 ups. Fail. Just a flesh wound.
All right. So nobody controls the middle.
Okay. So with that, we do come to the end of the fight phase. So we go to morale. Now we've lost 3 here with the Genestealer Cult, and we've got 1 on a flesh wound, and that's it. Yes. So that's 4. We start with 9, so no break check. We do take a nerve check here for this guy. He's got leadership 7. He's got a +3 to the roll, but a -1 for this guy. So he's got a +2 to the roll. So basically only on a 6 is he shaken. He's fine. All right, and then morale for the Astartes.
A gentleman. I have 1 guy on a flesh wound.
On a flesh wound. So that's 2 out of your original, 3, 4, 5, 6? 2 out of your 6? Yes. Yeah, so no break check required. But you could shake now with this guy.
With a 6,
because you do have a guy out of action.
Yeah, so here we go. That's
no.
cocked.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's cocked. So same roll.
Okay, yeah, Dice Gods willed it. So that is it. We have finished round 3 here. Current scoring, because it's 2 models and 2 models. So
0.
no one controls the center objective. So we do go in, straight on in. Now I'll only get a CP because my leader's dead. That's what I get for being a good sport. But you'll get up to 2 CP, and we'll go into round 4 here, potentially the last round of the game. Initiative. 6 and 7. So
I will go first.
Yeah, so you will start off. So with that, we'll let you do your moves, and we'll come right back.
This is still a really close game. The Roxor did what it does, but the Marines took the cult leader in response. Right now, I'm favouring the cults to win this because of the Marines being in the centre, providing safe charges, protecting the cults from the Marines' main threat, ranged weapons. Unless there's some really unlucky rolling, I would call this game for the cults right now. This turn started off with the Marines losing initiative whilst having a model on the point, allowing Matt to get the charge exactly as I mentioned might happen. The Marines, with all their shooting, have found themselves needing melee as everyone piles into the centre, but they just don't have it. I was getting pretty nervous as the Marines were deciding whether to shoot at the anvil or into the centre objective, and I'm glad he went centre. That was without question the right thing to do. If you don't have the centre, having the outer objectives doesn't matter. Messy Demise was definitely the wrong decision, but my gosh, I did want to see it.
All right. It is the end of the movement phase here for round 4, potentially the last round of the game. Some hot and spicy things have happened here. So the Ash Ravens had initiative.
Yes.
So tell us what you did there, Nick.
So I'll start with this bolter gentleman over here. He moved around here to touch the objective, contest it from the anvil, and then also potentially block routes of movement to prevent a nice charge across. Our 2 main gunners, or actually I guess 3 gunners here, have all readied up in the hopes of what had happened here originally. So our sergeant had moved around in a fallback to get out of base contact with this gentleman and the flamer. In the hopes that he would be left out in the open, which he still technically is for a couple shots. However, this guy has stayed stationary with the flamer in the hopes that it would be a one-on-one, and now he has he's going to reap what he sowed, I guess. There's a lot of beef coming his way now.
So he stayed in. Now I got very unlucky here because I charged in with the anvil. It was 2 shots.
A single 6.
You got the 6. Yeah. You got the 4 to wound. I failed the save. You got the 4 up on the injury roll. Taking the anvil out of action, which was brutal. I was a little salty after that, but then the luck came about in kind. I fell back with this guy since he was just out in the open anyway. So I just fell him back, opening up this lane, which then I proceeded to land every single charge here. So we've got these 2 guys, the heavy rock cutter and the heavy stubber, into the sergeant, and we got our heavy rock drill into your scout.
I almost imagine that like Yorl with that acid spit maneuver, maybe like he missed, but it like rallied the rest of the troops in to get a bum
It's
rush
like,
charge.
or have you ever, you've played Left 4 Dead, right?
Oh, yeah.
Left 4 Dead 2, it's like the boomer, so
Yeah.
you're like, bleh, and you
and now they're all covered. Exactly.
In. So this will be very interesting to resolve. We'll have to see, because we are currently still sitting at 0-0 in this game.
And this
could be the last turn. So this will be make or break for the cults here. Because if we win this little fracas here, then we might take the game. But if we lose it here, it's everything, because I don't have anything holding the back objectives here. So I'm all in.
At the end.
And this is potentially the last round of the game.
That's true.
So what I need is to win this combat and have the game end.
Yes.
Because if the game doesn't end, actually I could be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
So with that being the case, we do have a very short shooting phase. We only have 1 valid target for shooting. And you've got 3 ready models. So however you'd like to do it. We are going to be obscured for everyone at least. So it's never hitting better than 4s, which is nice.
Right, yeah. I have 2 CP, which I'm going to hold on to. We're going to have this gentleman with the missile launcher fire a crack missile into the
Makes sense.
saw. So we're hitting on 4s.
4s, yep, because of obscurement.
Yep. So here we go. Hits. Wounding on 2s.
Yes. And that'll be no save.
And it's D6.
So it'll be 6 damage. So I can't imagine that you don't get a.
Here comes a
You
bunch
do have
of
to get a
ones,
5
baby.
up at least.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's
yeah.
out of action. As expected, not surprising there. And then that does bring us to the end of the shooting phase.
Yeah, there's no one else who's...
oh, actually, I take it back because I do have a guy here in... Oh, so
Does he
that's
have a
something
pistol?
too... Yeah, so
Yeah.
I have an auto
And I
pistol
have a
here.
pistol.
And yeah, but you've now been charged.
Oh, I have, yeah.
Which actually, I forgot to say this too. So we didn't swing my attacks with this guy.
Oh, yeah.
He's only got... and so I would have attacked your leader
Go
anyway.
for it.
But he would have been flesh wounded already, so he just has a single attack, hitting on a 5 now because he's flesh wounded.
Oh, it hits.
Well, it does hit, and it would be wounding on a 4 because of strength 4. Wow, it does wound.
So we
I'm
got a
glad
3
we
up.
caught that. 3 up.
It
Okay,
passes.
yeah.
So
that's
it works out. All the charges can still
again,
happen.
yeah, as expected
Yeah.
there, yeah. But so we do go into the fight phase,
Yes.
and starting off with the player with initiative, which or starting off with charging models,
Charging.
which would be me.
Yes.
So unless you want to spend decisive strike.
I believe I have to in order to retain some models in the middle.
Right, so that'll
I
be
will-
your
I will
2
spend
CP
it.
gone.
Yep, push me to 0.
Yep. And who would you like to fight with?
So he is the only touching this gentleman, and he's
Yes.
touching.
Well,
these two.
he's also touching here.
Oh, you're right.
So you've
yeah.
got 2 and 2, and both of them are in the same plight of super scary melee
Yeah.
weapons,
Yep, and
not
chaff.
scary
Yeah.
dudes. So
I need to kill at least 2, and retain my 2. So it's 6 ways to none, or however that phrase goes, because I believe I just butchered it.
6 of one, half dozen of another.
You nailed
Is that
it.
what you're?
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah.
I'm going to swing with the leader.
Okay.
I think that's the most thematic here. So we'll have 3 attacks. Foolishly, but necessarily, I am going to split them.
Okay.
So 3 are going to go here. Or I'm sorry, 2 are going to go here. 1's going to
2
go.
and 1 into the stubber.
Yep.
Okay.
So let's start with the stubber.
Alrighty.
This is make or break. No.
Fails.
Fails. That's brutal.
Huge.
2 into the rock
2 into
cutter.
the rock cutter. Yep.
1
One fails.
hits,
Only 1
fails.
hits.
That's rough.
3's to wound.
No.
Oh,
my
that
goodness.
is so
That's
huge.
That's huge.
That is so huge.
And
All
actually,
right.
I realized my misplay too is that I should have done the 1 CP, let the leader and him fight first.
But you had to spend 2 CP to strike first. In the
Yeah,
first
no,
place.
you're right. Yep.
So
we
you
had talked
can't-
about that.
Yeah, you can't have done it anyway.
So, all right.
So I'm just going to go left to right
Mm-hmm.
is what I'm going to do. So we're going to start off with the heavy rock cutter. He'll have 2 attacks. He will be a -1 to hit with the cutter,
Okay.
which is
heavy
impactful. Yeah. So force, which was just
one.
okay. There we go. That's what we needed. 2's to wound here.
Wounds.
Gets it, and it
No
is
save, right?
AP -4.
Goes right there.
And I believe it's 3 damage or 2 damage.
Oh
But
my.
let me just double check because it might be 1 because
You're right, I
he's the one where it's like now if you survive, then I roll against your remaining wounds. So heavy rock cutter, it's damage 2.
Okay.
Okay, so we do get a 2 injury roll here. And
action.
you're out of action. We don't
That's
even need it.
huge.
So that's really big. That's nice. We like that. And of course, we will take the 3-inch consolidate in there.
The
Just a
Intrepid
touch.
Scout.
Like I said, now I was going to go left to right. He's out
can't,
now. He
yeah.
only charged him, so he's just going to kind of hang out there.
Yep.
And then we'll go to our heavy rock drill.
So I have to survive this.
You do have to survive this. So he's got 2 attacks. He's hitting on 3s here. He misses both times. I do have a CP. I could re-roll, but the thing is, now I have to be conscious of what's happening here. I have
Saves.
5 out
Yeah.
of action. It's actually not the saves that I necessarily want to save my CP for. I have 5 out of action.
Break check.
And a flesh wound means I will have to take a break check.
Yeah.
If I break,
Jeez.
everybody will have to take a nerve check. So I'm
Oh.
saving the CP
Yeah,
for
yeah,
insane
yeah.
bravery
Yep.
to keep myself
That's
at
smart.
least contesting the objective this turn.
That's
So as
very
much
smart.
as I want to re-roll the hit there, the right prudent play is
Yeah.
to
'Cause
insane bravery.
I could whiff just like I did
So then,
a second ago.
Yep, the last one to do is our flesh wounded scout.
Did he charge?
He
didn't. So
he didn't. You're
so it
right.
drops
You're
to me
right.
in
So that's
initiative.
actually all our chargers. So yeah. So then it goes to you next. Good catch.
And they're
there.
all the same save profile.
They're all the
correct?
exact same
Yeah.
defensive profile. The only one that's not in combat with you is this guy here.
Right. So I think at this point then it's prudent to swing more into him to guarantee a kill so that there's no crackback.
Okay.
And then You would still retain control of the middle.
Yeah, at this point,
So
unless you kill
three.
all three,
All right.
I control the center and potentially take the game.
So we're gonna do
that.
we're gonna do the cool thing.
Okay.
Which is one at each of the guys who you
One
can
at
touch.
each of the guys. Okay. So I just need one of these to fail, and I'm guaranteed to hold.
And you're guaranteed to hold. Let's start with the flamer.
Okay.
So we're hitting on 3s. We hit.
He hits.
We're wounding on 3s. We
He
wound.
wounds. A 5-up save. I've rolled it.
Do you want to roll it again?
A 1. No,
okay.
I'll take that. Injury roll.
Out of
That's going to be
action.
an out of action.
Oh, the chainsword is revved up. Let's go
All
to
right. Heavy
this
rock drill
gentleman.
guy. Okay. Just need to survive one of these.
Wounds.
Wounds. 5-up. Ooh, and that's
Cheeky.
it.
That's it.
That's it.
I still get another
Guaranteed
attack.
to control now. Well, not guaranteed because I might break.
That's true. Yeah, but we do get
Okay,
another.
yep,
as he
one more
rips
attack
through,
into the heavy rock cutter.
hits.
Wounds. Saves.
Boss.
Huge.
That's huge.
Huge.
That's huge.
Okay, and so that means that we are done with the fight phase. Now, again, that same sort of thing is like I could have, I guess, attacked again with him with that CP, but it's like I got to hold on
No,
for insane bravery. So we do go to the morale phase. Now, this is where it'll be big. Now, for just for sake of argument, now you have
2 down.
You've got 2 out of action,
And a
1 on a
flesh
flesh wound, out of 6, so no break check.
Correct.
But you do have a nerve check to take here. Do you
Yes.
want to just take that really quick?
Yeah,
We're
so
trying to bury the lead on this.
It's off
is what
his
we're doing.
leadership, correct?
It's his
So
leadership specifically,
7,
and he's got a +2 to the roll,
right. So 5 or more, and he
he'll be shaken.
Yeah, shaken. There he is. He's shaken.
He's shaken.
That's it.
That's
which is pretty
big.
big because he's not controlling that objective anymore.
Yes. So we'll drop that by him. Okay, now this is the big part. Okay, so we've got 6 out of action now, which doesn't actually change anything because the one that went out of action was a flesh wound.
Yeah.
So, but that is more than half of our kill team. So we do have to take our break check. Our highest leadership on the board is a 7 now. Luckily, no modifiers to the break. So as long as I don't roll higher than a 7, classic,
My goodness,
classic every single
no.
time. So we are broken. So that means that right off the bat, first thing we're going to do is spend the CP to auto pass.
Yep.
Auto pass our heavy rock drill.
Now you just need to beat 1, right?
Yeah. So then now I've got a +6 to the roll, but a guaranteed -1 for this guy.
Yeah.
So I'll go ahead and I'll do the heavy rock cutter next because it'll never be better than this.
So 1 is
So a 1 and a 2 is fine, and a 3-up is shaken. So he's shaken, and then now only on a 1 will the stubber pass. So they're 2 shaken. So that means
we're evenly
that we are contesting the objective here for round 4. So you had the greatest strategic
get to roll,
advantage.
right?
No. So you roll the first one.
Okay.
So so scoring, by the way, again, right? So we're contesting, so no one scores anything. So does the game go on, or are we done? The game is over.
Oh, my goodness.
And that
It's
is
a draw.
it. So I believe that's a quick draw. Let's just make sure. At the end of the battle, so the player who controls the primaries at the end of battle, if none of the tied players control the primary objective, the tied players draw. That's it. So it's a draw. There you go.
Left-handed handshake.
Yeah, there you go. Little handshake.
Good game, sir.
Interesting one. I think that's about the best I've ever played the Genestealer Cult.
Without a doubt.
That's about, yeah, I mean, this is rough. I got really unlucky here.
That was unlucky.
I got unlucky here. So I got 2 unluckersons there. Everyone else is pretty well expected.
Yeah. And you negated 2 whole turns of shooting.
Yeah, 2 turns of shooting on a list. Well, I mean, I think that's indicative of the Genestealer Cult's strength.
But while
is
also
that
preventing you from
negating
scoring.
Yeah, but negating 2 turns of shooting, and then I have 1 model to act with by round 5. That is, I think that's very indicative of the Genestealer Cult's strength.
Yeah.
But there you have it. The Ash Ravens making their 2nd game here on the channel, once again showing that they are a force to be reckoned with. I really liked the heavy bolter guy here. I really liked the scout with the heavy bolter.
This scout pulled a lot of weight, and he definitely, even though he may not have removed, I don't think he removed anything, did he?
I don't think so, no.
He zoned effectively in this quarter, which was important.
I think for me, I got to give, for your team, I got to give this scout sergeant the MVP.
Yeah.
Because
he stuck it out.
He was an absolute beat stick. The fact that he's still there is crazy. And then I got to give an honorary mention actually to your intercessor
Yeah.
surviving that first combat against the heavy rock drill.
He took
And-
it into the shoulder and kind of like just flexed into it.
Yeah,
to
and you're just
break-
like,
yeah.
he's fine.
Yeah.
For me, I got to give probably my MVP has got to be the Anvil, even though he got unlucky from that charge and ended up getting punked. He did so much board control by just hanging out up here, and he forced your hand of like staying back or getting charged. So that was really huge. Secondary honorary mention, I think, just goes to the heavy rock cutter for actually being the guy who he's he's the only one who actually connected on the charge and killed the thing he charged the first time he did it, because everybody else bounced.
Yeah.
And so that's what I was trying to say to you earlier. I was trying to say this off camera too. It's like these guys sound really scary.
Yeah.
And the math on paper
Is good.
says they're really scary, but they're not really scary.
Well, the shrug tactic definitely ate away one of those opportunities. So without that, if I had not gone to 3 CP in round 2, he would have been dead automatically.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's true.
So,
that's true. Yeah.
And it makes sense why that got bumped to 3.
Because it's so huge.
It's an automatic flesh wound. I gotta say, I think this guy, I would give him MVP on your team just for the patience that went into his movement.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
finally,
I mean, he literally he was hanging back here.
He was hanging back here, holding the
game.
objective faithfully, and then he saw the explosion of acid and was like, "All right, now's the time."
Now's the time. Yeah.
I actually, well, not MVP. This gentleman is definitely moving up to full Marine.
Yeah. So see, that's the thing. That's the thing. It's like this power hammer should have murked a guy.
Yeah.
This guy should have, like, these 3, which are now off the table, right? They should have all killed a guy on first contact. And same with these 2. And then that's why I said he gets the honorary mention of him being the only one who actually took a model out on first contact.
Yeah.
And it's a shame, but that's the thing, because I mean, these guys only have 2 attacks base. That's the thing, and they only get a third if they go to Zealot or combat. And so, you know, the best you can hope for is to get 2 of these guys with an extra attack. That's why I prefer playing the team as Pauper Princes.
Which does what again?
Is reroll failed hits in the fight phase.
On the, oh wow. Yeah. And they don't have to charge or anything, it's just fight phase.
It's just fight phase, reroll failed hits.
Well, it is Yorl's calling.
It is, yeah. Yorl Kraus is the official kill team leader for the Pauper Princes. But the thing is, I played a good number of Pauper Princes, and like I'm trying to like flex into the other ones as well. I mean, I think there's a lot to be said for Twisted Helix. The +1 strength is really nice. It doesn't really do much for these guys, but it's really nice on someone like Yorl Kraus with puts him up to strength 4, which really helps. And then the +2 advance. I want to try. I think the next time I try Twisted Helix, I'm going to take the Flamer, and then I'm going to take all the shotguns that I have, which are also assault weapons, and then just kind of do like a bum rush up the board.
I don't know, I'm sure Canny-Eyed viewers, but this guy with the Flamer traveled more of the board than any other model on the table. He's kept me over here quite successfully, then zipped back over and made an impactful move into this direction to get to the middle. Yeah. So I know it's humble, but don't underestimate the scout.
Yeah, I actually really like the scout. My favorite combo, actually, if you want to get really silly, is a medic. You take a medic, you take a scout, and you take them Twisted Helix. Yeah. So then you get the additional movement with the stim shot. You get the reroll advance for the scout, and you get the +2 for Twisted Helix. You end up with this guy who can literally just walk across the board in one turn. Is
that what you did with the metamorph that took out my warrior?
I think so. Yeah. I stim shot him. Yeah, I stim shot him, and then he just went crazy.
Oh, that was brutal.
And it comes to a draw. The Cults seem to have gotten crazy lucky with those charges. I don't know what he had to roll, but damn. One of them must have needed at least 10, if not 11 inches, maybe even 12. Now, that missile launcher was wasting his time readying. These sorts of models should be doing this whilst on a point when possible. That was a big mistake for the Marine player there. Great call from the Cults to save their CP for the morale phase, whether needed or not. That 1 CP to keep a model from shaking wins more games than you might imagine. The Marines mentioned it would be best to attack the guy who already has a flesh wound, but in this case I actually disagree. He doesn't need a kill, he needs the cult to break and shake. So the more flesh wounds spread around, the better. That way, even if the cults pass their morale test, you'll still have a chance for these models to shake and possibly not hold the objective. My overall thoughts, which are super easy to say with hindsight and as an observer, but this is how we learn, are that the Marines needed to be a little bit more aware of their strengths, aka shooting, and their positioning. Not having a model on an outer point when they held the center was a big mistake, and no doubt the Marine player's kicking himself there. And there was no real reason for the scout gunner or the missile launcher to not be on that objective, as there was no pressure there at all. Unlike the other point where of course the Aberrant was forcing him to scatter, so that makes sense, it's understandable. And of course ending up in a losing melee when he's mainly ranged on the most critical objective isn't ideal. The Genestealer Cult, on the other hand, played it well in turn 1, accepting that there was no point to rush the centre. Taking a step back and accepting a single turn of potentially lost points will often win you the game. Remember that victory points are a resource just like any other. You don't need to fully score, you just need to score more than your opponent. Similarly, you don't need your entire team to survive, you just need one model left on the board. Spend your resources to win the game, and remember these resources have to last the entire game, not one round. This has been Glass Half Dead, and I hope that you've enjoyed my small technical analysis of this fight. If you want more of that, check out my channel, but whilst you're on this video, make sure to like and subscribe to Odds of War, obviously.
So there you have it. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more collabs like this, make sure to like the video and let us know down in the comments. And once again, a huge thanks to Glass Half Dead for working with us on this one. So make sure you go over, visit his channel to give him a like and a subscribe. With that, we'll see you on the next one.